going down a bad road with what they're doing in college.
See, I disagree. I think it's a good road because, number one, the players are getting paid. And on the highest level of college football, the players kind of deserve to be paid because they're helping generate millions, borderline billions. We're talking about billion-dollar TV contracts within the next 10, 15 years. They should get a little bite at the apple. So it's a good thing. And I think it also keeps the peace of those who are looking to go in and sue the National Football League. I should be able to become a National Football League player when I'm 18. Appreciate you streaming on in here on Birds 365, a Football Friday. McMullen and McDonald hanging with you. Feel free to go ahead and hit that like button. If you tune into the show, if you follow us, if you come on the stream, if you enjoy the Eagles conversation on a day in, day out basis, why the hell wouldn't you hit the like button? You're here. There's got to be something you like about us. So go ahead and hit the like button. It will help us out down the road. All right. Speaking of down the road, JM, I know this is going to have no impact whatsoever on the upcoming Philadelphia Eagles season, and that's what everybody's focused in on. How good can we be in 2022? Something happened yesterday that's going to have an effect on Eagles seasons going forward. USC and UCLA have left the Pac-12 to go to the Big Ten.
I hate that, by the way, but I know where you're going. These nonsense. I think I know where you're going. These nonsense fans. I don't want another Pac-10, Pac-12 receiver. Blah blah blah. Now they're not in the Pac-12. You can't say that anymore.
Right. I just want to know where the hell college football is going. Are we going to? I'm going to sound probably like AJ Brown here. Are we going to mega two conferences? It's going to be the Big Ten, which is going to have 25 teams, and the SEC, which is going to have 25 teams. What the hell? It annoyed me to no end that the Pac-10 became the Pac-12, and now they're going to go back to being the Pac-10, which could make it easier on me. And, oh, by the way, it always has been, at least in part, regional. You've got all these teams in the middle of the country, and then you got two teams on the West Coast. What is...
get it. I don't like it. And I know people get upset. And obviously, I think we're both more in the old school camp and we're both older. And people say, well, you got to get with the times and all that. Here's the problem with those kind of people who don't understand the history of or tradition of college football. That's a big part of the popularity. If you just wake up one day when some 18-year-old woke up and there's 100,000 people in Alabama and say, oh, that's pretty cool. I want to be in Alabama. Well, there's a reason Alabama's Alabama, because of the history and tradition. And the same thing with USC, same thing with UCLA, out west, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, Ohio State, Penn State here, 105,000 people. There's a history and tradition of college football. And if you take it away, whether it's NIL, whether it's screwing up the game from that standpoint, whether it's mashing up the conferences, you affect that history and tradition. So you want one thing. You don't want to watch, as I said, Jody, you don't want to watch the Birmingham Stallions Part 17 in sort of a pseudo before NFL developmental league versus the Columbus Buckeyes, or whatever you want to call them. You want to see Alabama versus Ohio State. And if you want to see that, you have to realize you better preserve it. Because if you don't preserve it, it's going to go away. And I don't think people are doing a good job of preserving it.
Well, I'll give both UCLA and USC credit for yesterday, because they moved en masse, or they're going to move en masse to a new conference, and they're keeping their own rivalry in place. But there are other rivalries that are going to go by the board that are no longer going to be in place in the Pac-12, which used to be the Pac-10, which is now going back to be in the Pac-10. It's just tremendously confusing. And, yeah, the thing that bothers me about it, and I get it, the world goes around and around and around, or does it? I guess I'll have to consult A.J. Brown. It's because of money. It makes the world go around every single day. And those two universities are big enough that they can join forces and they can jump into a bigger TV contract for upcoming seasons. And it just, yeah, it flushes tradition down the you know what, because they're going for money grabs, because they want to be part of a bigger conference with a bigger TV contract and the like. And it just, I'm looking at it from an Eagle perspective, a National Football League perspective. College football is an entity unto itself. I enjoy it greatly on a week in, week out basis. But every time I watch a college game, I look at it with half an eye on how good a pro is this guy going to be? How is he going to fit in to the National Football League? Could he help a team like the Philadelphia Eagles? It's just such a corporate business. It's all about money. It's less about football than it used to be. And that bothers the hell out of me.
Well, and by the way, the one thing, the NFL's obviously has tremendous popularity, but they don't have the atmospheres college football does. They do not have the atmospheres, the major college football. I'm talking, you know what I'm talking about. When Alabama plays Auburn, when Alabama plays Georgia, those SEC rivalries, when Ohio State plays Michigan, when Notre Dame plays USC, they don't have those environments. It might get raucous and big playoff games, but it ain't like that. It ain't like that. And part of it is because of that. Not part of it, all of it is because of that history and tradition. If you want to lose it, fine, lose it. I don't care. It's not going to bother me. What do I care? I'll be disappointed, but if you don't realize what it is and how it got there, don't pretend like these are at the end of the day educational institutions, I think, still. Why are we, if it's all about money, if it's all about paying the kids, if it's all about getting the TV money, make a league. It's not going to be as fun. You're not going to like it. You're going to make up these weird names and have these weird cities. Enjoy it. It's not going to be fun. I guarantee you that.
I'll help to make your argument. One of the most energized days I've ever spent on the planet was when I went to an LSU football game. I was down in Baton Rouge with the wife. In-laws lived down there at the time. Our brother was an LSU graduate and the like, and we had a pregame tailgate 5 hours before kickoff had started. And oh, by the way, kickoff was 1 o'clock in the afternoon. LSU is famous for night games down there, but on this given Sunday, it was 1 o'clock. So we were there at 9 o'clock in the morning, 9 a.m. for a 1 o'clock kickoff. And you could feel the excitement. Now, this is September, first weekend, except like it wasn't Labor Day weekend, but the weekend after. And a day game and against Texas A&M, which at the time was still in the Big 12. Hadn't made the move over to SEC yet. And you could just feel the excitement in the air for that game. 4 hours, 5 hours before kickoff. You should be at church at 9 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. No, Saturday morning. We were in a parking lot having a good time, people getting all excited and like. And I said to myself, if this is what it feels like in September against a non-traditional opponent, what the hell does it feel like when Alabama comes in here for a November Saturday night game? It's got to just be nuts. And I've been on a lot of pro game day parties.
Yeah, it's not even comparable. With all due respect, it's the one thing. Same thing with college basketball versus pro basketball. You can't, when the atmosphere of Duke, North Carolina, you can't compete with that. You just can't. Now, the play is better in the pros. The players are better, but you don't have that same environment. And people want their cake and they want to eat it too. And if you keep going down this road and make everything about money, then it becomes professional. And if it's fully professional, make it professional.
Well, they are kind of doing that with NIL on the college football level. So I at least am happy for the players that they're getting a little bit of a bite out of the apple, because
let them play in the NFL. Yeah, let them play in the NFL. 18-year-olds get to do whatever they want, right? So, they can go out and get a job and work wherever they want. If they're capable of playing in the NFL, just let them play in the NFL at that
Yeah, but
stage.
all right, we can go off on this tangent. We got a couple minutes here before Bob Groats is
Well, I
going to
got to
join
go
us.
off. I got to defend AJ Brown. So this is from NASA, Jody. A sidereal day, NASA, 23 hours and 56 minutes, which a sidereal day is every time the Earth completes a 360-degree rotation. That takes 23 hours and 56 minutes. Now, the solar day is the
And
one human.
how many seconds? If they're going to break it down to 23,
Yeah, there actually is.
56
I
minutes.
sent you that. I sent you the site that does it, that breaks it down into milliseconds. There's a site. Now they're breaking down the solar day. The solar day is the one humans count on the calendar, and that happens when the Earth spins just a little bit further, so they make it 24 hours, essentially. And there's even a clock that dents it down for the solar day to the milliseconds, and it's pretty unbelievable.
Yeah, I'll live with the round off 24 hours a day.
Well, that's what everybody does,
That's just
except
perfectly
AJ
fine
Brown.
for me.
But I'm
8
saying
Brown
he's not.
and NASA.
All
Yeah,
I'm saying is he's not crazy. That's all I'm
when
saying.
I let NASA start to dictate the way that I look at time, yeah, no, it's not going to happen.
They're pretty smart, Jody.
But your point about really letting players be able to jump into the fray and become professional. No, I think that's a good thing that the National Football League does.
So do I. So
Even
do I.
though the game is becoming less and less physical with every passing year, it's more leaning toward skills and ability to jump and speed and everything else. The physicality of football becomes less and less every single year. It's still a really physical game. And the fact that they hold the players out with their ability to join the league until 3 years after their high school graduation is a good thing. Because if you let guys come into the league, they'd have some physical capability. Some would be superstars. Some would come in and what would be their sophomore season in college football, they go for 1,200 yards receiving in the National Football League. But there'd be guys who come in who aren't physically ready, who would end up getting hurt, which make it more difficult to manage a roster. I think that's absolutely one of the strong suits of the NFL that they've held the ground on. You need to be 3 years out of high school before you're eligible to come play in our league. I think it's a good thing, not a bad thing.
Yeah, I agree. It's a good thing, but you have to make a decision on these types of things. I think in the NBA, it's a lot easier for you, because I do think you have to be more fully developed physically to play football, even though it's gotten, as you mentioned, it's not nearly as physical. But you see the difference of 22-year-old kids coming in, and especially on the offensive line. You always say Andre Dillard, perfect example. He comes in at 305 pounds. He's not strong enough to play in the NFL. He's not strong enough. He's got to get in the weight room and get stronger to deal with some of the physicality in the league. You go all the way back to Moses Malone, and old Sixers fans will remember Darryl Dawkins, and then it was Kevin Garnett. It went away for a while, and you said to yourself, "Wow, high school kid, really?" And Kevin Garnett turned into Kevin Garnett. Took a while, but took a while for Kobe Bryant. Um, but it's easier in the NBA. I agree with you wholeheartedly, but that's the way we're going, because there's no way to keep the college landscape when you're just paying people like they're professionals. You're going to have what Nick Saban when Nick Saban went off on Jimbo Fisher and vice versa. Nick Saban wasn't talking to Jimbo Fisher personally. He was indicating to Alabama boosters, "Hey, guess what? You know, if you still want us to be Alabama, you better ante up. Um, you're paying for players. Might not be overt. The
Yeah,
school might
direct.
not be doing it, but you have to pay for players, and it becomes a more, if anything, it becomes more seedy, Because if you can imagine, well, you have to get Geno Stakes or Pat Stakes to pay for the free agent to come to Philadelphia. That becomes more seedier than, hey, the Eagles are divvying out $25 million for AJ Brown or $15 million for Hassan Reddick. Going down a bad road with what they're doing in college.
See, I disagree. I think it's a good road because, number one, the players are getting paid. And on the highest level of college football, the players kind of deserve to be paid because they're helping generate millions, borderline billions. We're talking about billion-dollar TV contracts within the next 10, 15 years. They should get a little bite at the apple. So it's a good thing. And I think it also keeps the peace of those who are looking to go in and sue the National Football League. I should be able to become a National Football League player when I'm 18. If they're less likely to do that because you can go to college and make money too via NIL money, that is going to preserve both of the two entities. Kids will more likely stay in college, not be fighting to go to the NFL at an age that is probably not advantageous for them or the NFL. And it makes it easier for the NFL to stand strong on there. You got to have 3 years out of high school before we're going to let you
Look,
in.
I
think that's a good thing.
If you generate money, you should be able to be a part of it. I have no problem with that. So it's a very difficult equation because there's always unintended consequences. So, I always talk about, to me, college football is no fun from the perspective of we can talk here on July 1st and be pretty confident who's going to be in the college football playoff. And we're going to be talking about 5 or 6 teams, and maybe there's one surprise every once in a while, like Cincinnati last year. I don't like that. I don't like it. It's only going to get worse. Alabama's going to be Alabama. Oklahoma's going to be Oklahoma. Ohio State is going to be Ohio State. A few others that and that's it. And you can have fun during the regular season talking about, I don't know, insert team name, Missouri against Minnesota or whatever. They're not relevant. They never will be relevant. Rutgers here locally, never. Temple, never. They might have an up season. They might win 8 games. You might jack up the people on North Broad Street and the 7 million Temple alums that are in the media, and they might get excited, but they're not going to be relevant ever.
Here's
Period.
the one, and we're getting off on a college football tangent. We'll jump back into the Eagles in just a couple of minutes because Bob Grotz is going to join us. Here's where I do agree with you, that and college football is losing out a little bit. And I screamed, shoot, I've been doing the sports talk radio thing or sports talk YouTube thing for 30 plus years. The entire time I've been saying we need a playoff in college football. The fact that voters got to decide who won a national championship, as educated as they may be, I thought was ridiculous. You have to decide it on the field. You have to let somebody win a championship actually playing the game. So I've been a major advocate for a playoff forever, and I still would like to see it get to 8 teams rather than 4, but bowl games are completely irrelevant now. And that's, if you're a Temple guy, that's what you're hoping for, right? You're a Temple grad, you supported the program, you went to the games, you're graduated, you're doing well in life, you still go back to the game. You want your team to go to a bowl game. Bowl games are nothing now. They used to actually have some meaning and a little bit more emphasis and gravitas. A bowl game means nothing. The Temples can't sell bowl tickets.
No,
people aren't going to go to see the.
They're like USFL games. You look at the stands, and they get a couple sponsors. Yeah, we can put on a game. Come to El Paso in January. That's about the extent of it.
Right. If it's Miami, I might show up. But wait. You want me to go to El Paso for a bowl game? That's my getaway as a Temple. Yeah, I'm not doing that anytime soon. All right. He's John McMullen. I'm Jody McDonald. We are the Mac and Mac Birds 365 guys. Oh, we're bringing in a heavy hitter next. It's our buddy Bob Grotz from the Delco Times. Continue the Eagle conversation here on Birds 365.